Hi everyone, Rich Kratzer, DIY home in lawn care on my estate. I thought I'd do a DIY video on an ongoing project, and that's how to rig a small boat. This is one of my boats. It's a 1998 sport trawler made by Sylvan. It's 16 foot. This boat is 25 years old, and I get a lot of comments how well I set up this boat for the style of fishing that I like. Mostly small lakes, rivers, and I mostly do walleye fishing. Let me take you around the boat and the trailer setup and some of the changes I made, and hopefully this gives you some really good ideas on what you could do if you're buying a used boat, or if you're actually out there looking for a new boat, how it may best set up for your style of fishing. Here's the first thing I want to show you, change I made. Upgrading the tires. Since this is 25 years old, 12-inch rims, what came on the boat was bias ply tires. And they ride very rough, and it really puts a lot of stress on the trailer and the boat. I found a manufacturer out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania called Carlisle Tire. You can go right online. They actually make radial tires for small trailers. It's the first thing I did, and it really improved how the trailer rides on the road. Obviously, bearing buddies, if you don't have them, all boat trailers come through with bearing buddies. This one came through with it. But I also upgraded the lights. Remember, this is 25 years ago. Standard lights were incandescent. I upgraded all these lights to LED, and I made a great enhancement which I'll share with you. So these guide tubes are normally meant for if it's windy, it helps you, get your boat onto the trailer. I didn't use them for that. My truck is a 4-door extended cab, full-size pickup. When you try to back this boat up, and I'm normally at the ramp when it's dark out, I cannot see the back of the boat. What I did is I installed these guide tubes that I made them high enough that I can see over the top of the tailgate, and it actually shows me where I'm backing the boat into. But let me show you what I did to the tail lights, and this is a great idea. These are submergible, they're LED, but since this trailer does not have brakes, it has a 5th wire that comes with this kit. I mean, you got to remember, this boat is somewhat light, right? It doesn't need trailer brakes. It's only 16-foot aluminum. That 5th wire, which would normally go to your brakes, are hooked up to the back of these lights. Now, I found these lights that if you look in the center here, it's clear. Right here, there's 4 clear LEDs. What happens is when I put the truck into reverse, these are rear backup lights. So it actually shines and on the boat ramp, because again, I'm normally going to the dock when it's dark out, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and these facilities aren't well lit. I think that's a great idea, between being able to see where you're backing up and also having rear backup lights on your trailer, and you can keep these plugged in because they're submergible. That is a fantastic idea. With that idea alone, it's worth giving me a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe. Let me show you some other improvements I made to the trailer. So here's the bunks, the trailer bunks. I put new carpeting. The staples I used on the carpet to hold the carpet onto the wood are stainless steel. What came through on the manufacturer were not stainless steel, so they were rusting. They also normally make these out of pine. You don't want to use pressure treated, for it has a reaction with the aluminum. These are actually oak, so it will last a lot longer because you don't want to, again, use any type of pressure treated wood. If you notice, I also have the end of the bunk just over the line of the transom. These are from Boat Buckle. You can get these right online. This had a strap where there was a little eye bolt here, and it would go around the boat, and that was to hold the boat down in the trailer. Simple, retractable. You don't want to go ahead and really put a lot of stress on these. All you're looking to do is to tighten this up enough. That's it. Just so the boat doesn't leave the trailer. To release it, one button, Well, look at this. I also upgraded the side markers, spare tire carrier. This way you're not having your tire thrown it in and out of the truck every time you want to go. It's locked on. I also upgraded the roller underneath. This was just regular rubber. This is now a heavy nylon that doesn't get any type of flat spots on it, and it doesn't mar the hull of the boat. Did the same thing with the front. These are heavy nylon. If you notice, it's actually on these wood blocks over here. This is how I store my boats. This is made out of engineered trusses with OSB sheeting on the top and bottom, and then an OSB sheet on the very top of the pressure treated. Anytime that I come in, I make all my connections loose. I don't want any pressure on the boat. It's sitting secure, but it's not putting any stress more on the trailer. The boat came through with a standard rope on the winch. I removed that and I put a winch strap on. Second thing that I did is I added a keel guard to protect the front of the boat. It does not make any changes to the performance whatsoever. I upgraded the trailer tongue jack. This one will hold up to 1,200 pounds. The one that came with it, I believe, was about half that, and it was obviously flimsy. And then I also add, you'll notice the reflectors down in the tongue of the trailer. And the reason I put this on my boats and trailers is because some of the places I do fish, if it's gonna be an overnight trip, they require that I disconnect the trailer and I have to store the trailer separately. Seen some cases where guys have come back and they've actually had their trailer damaged. People didn't see it when they were driving at night and they've actually hit the trailer. Another thing that I did was I got rid of the standard chains. I purchased, these are cables that are actually coated in plastic that have tension on them constantly. And I just think it makes it for a nice, cleaner, and easier setup. And the last thing I wanted to do, this is my helper, by the way. He's a new addition to the DIY channel. His name is Bentley. Come here, buddy. Here we go. Bentley is a male Chihuahua. Sorry. So you'll be seeing a lot more of him. Let me explain a little about the light setup. This trailer comes through with what they call a standard flat 4-pin connector. I wired this trailer on a 5-pin connector. This blue wire, if you remember, is the wire that goes to the rear lights and the center of the lights that energize the LED backup lights. Most vehicles don't have an outlet for a 5-pin connector. What I did, most vehicles have a round receptacle for an 8-pin connector. On the back of an 8-pin connector, this adapter will accept a flat 5-pin connector. So when I plug this into the back of the truck and I put the truck in the reverse, it takes the connection from this adapter back to this blue wire, and now it activates my backup lights. So it came with a 9.9 4-stroke Evinrude. After 20 years of using it, well, let's just say it's worn. So it right now has EFI 20 horse 4-stroke Merc with power trim and tilt on it, which is fantastic. So that's one recent upgrade. And what motors cost nowadays, I would tell you it was more than the boat motor trailer when I bought it new 25 years ago. I always put a little transom saver. This, if you look, is a really heavy nylon board that only attaches with 2 screws. And this is all siliconed in. And no matter what type of electronics that I put on this boat, I can always change the transducers out without putting more holes in the transom. And I've changed this from doing the bottom line series to the Humminbird series, and now all I do is I run Lowrance electronics. And I have many holes in this transom saver. I've seen guys that don't do this, they don't think ahead, And for what this costs, maybe 15, 20 bucks, you got a bunch of holes in your transom. So that's a great idea. When I run my wires, I always run them. In this case, I couldn't get the connector through the drain, so I didn't want any chafing. I always protect my wires with some type of cable guard. It's all about making sure that when you go to use the boat, it's always functioning and there's no issues. All of my cleats I upgraded. These were all metal. These are all now heavy nylon. Reason is, if I get any fishing line stuck here, this nylon is not gonna fray the fishing line. If it was galvanized, there's always sharp edges on those metal for how they mold them, and I've lost more fish than I care to mention because of that. Let's jump up in the boat and I'm gonna show you some changes I made there. I forgot to mention, transom saver, very important. You should have one of those. Also, in my garage, I have what these retractable pull downs. I have it behind each boat, and it simply is easy to go ahead and plug the charger in. This boat did not come with a onboard charger. I went ahead and installed one. I run two types of batteries. One is an AGM battery for the back, which is running rear electronics, lights, bilge pump, fish pump, and motor. This has a upgraded alternator on the Mercury that it will go ahead and charge that battery while it's trolling. I'm upgrading the front battery to a lithium ion. The one change I would make to this boat, because technology has changed, is they now make, and I believe it's by Minn Kota, you have a smart charging system. If the trolling motor battery is going low, and you're running your outboard, the outboard will go ahead and throw more charge into your trolling motor battery. And it always keeps a reserve in your starting battery for at least it can emergency start your outboard. Safety wise, I always keep a whistle underneath my seat, which is a quick disconnect. I have a fire extinguisher close by. All these rod holders you can move up, down. You can swivel them and they lock the rods in. I chose this model because it's light. And if you're running, electric only lakes, you want to try to conserve as much weight as possible. The nice thing is all this hardware I put in this isn't a double-sided hull. These are all stainless steel. These are heavy gauge sheet metal screws on the top, which actually go through this rail but do not stick out. On the underside, if you notice, they go through, they're stainless steel, and then I have a lock nut and washer, and I have a cap over the top. So again, your line doesn't get caught. So here's another little idea. So these are little bumper guards. So when I'm docking the boat, I always have these on the side, but I don't like to have ropes all over the place. Found this little quick connect. I think it's a great idea, and I mounted these on the side. You can see right here this little metal bracket, and all you do is you take this, snaps into place, and the bumper hangs over the side. And when I'm not using these, they're easy to store away, and I don't have a bunch of line laying around. So that's I think a fantastic idea. Something else that I did, depending upon where I'm fishing. You have a lot of rods, and if I know I'm going to be trolling, where am I going to be putting long trolling rods? This is a nice little setup. I think you can get this right on Bass Pro. That simply goes in one of the seat bases, and if you notice here, I put a little turnbuckle. I simply back out one of these deck screws, and there's a little eye bolt that will screw in there for the peace of mind that I can trailer with this, strap my rods down, and I don't have to worry about that losing the rods or having the holder come out. And it simply fits like that. And I can have 8 trolling rods in here, and it's totally out of the way and it's compact. This was just a flat deck. Berkley makes these. These are rod holders. So if I'm going on a trip, I wrap all my rods and that Velcro's right in. There's no way that rod can come out. So now I have some deck space that wasn't gonna be used that now is usable rod storage. Obviously I have the in-deck rod storage. I upgraded this. This was simply just some hooks. There's another product. This is by Rod Saver. Once you have your rods in here, now you can Velcro them in place. I also I made a little tube underneath to store my running lights. Also live well. I have my fish roller. I was thinking about, because I don't use this as much, I may actually insulate this and use this as a ice box, or I'll just keep it for storage. Let me show you the front. I also installed a cleat midship, the way in which I control the boat if I'm drifting. And a lot of people will put the drift socks out of the back or the front. But if you have two people sitting here, and obviously conditions permit, if you put a drift sock right out midship, it keeps the boat parallel to the wind. Swivel seats, pretty standard with any boat. This is removable. I can mount this up in the front if I'm using an electric trolling motor. Obviously, this newer technology, I can use that anywhere in the boat. But if I am fishing by myself, I prefer to be sitting up here on top. I can easily move that pedestal. I keep everything else inside this front deck. Obviously, safety oar, safety flag. I keep all my safety equipment in here, some wrenches. I have everything labeled, including the year that I installed the battery. These are terminal connectors with the fuses right in the terminal connector. And I like that versus inline fuses, because I'd have to run all around the boat to find out if there's a problem. But with these fuses, you pay a little more for them. Let me just take that off. If one of these fuses blow, because how do you know if you have a problem? If one of these fuses blow, they light up. And I can see instantaneously, oh, it's the trolling motor. Oh, it's the fish pump. And I have the same setup for in the back. I think that's a fantastic way, instead of having inline fuses all over your boat, have one central fuse location. And in this case, everything that works on the front all works off of this one terminal. The next thing I did was I upgraded the front trolling motor. The trolling motor that I used for about 20 years was a Minn Kota. It had a cable that hooked right into the fish finder, or I should say electronics, and it also had a cable that went right into the foot pedal. Everything nowadays is going wireless, so it's really nice. I can just use this lanyard. This is a motor guide, and it has a wireless and GPS hookup that, you know, I can do anchor locks, I can do route plannings, I can store waypoints. This is a Lowrance Gen 2 HDS that I use in the front, which is a touch screen. The two units will actually talk to each other. This is only operate on a 12-volt system, not a 24. And I believe it is 50 or 55 pound thrust. For the small aluminum boat, I can use it all day and never have to worry about the battery running dead. Second thing I really like about this setup is that I can put this foot control anywhere. So if I have somebody up here, I can be in the back of the boat operating the boat by my foot or by a simple keypad. So that was a nice feature. Again, all my wiring, if you noticed, I'm using all RAM mounts. Everything's very secure. It's all locked into place. I have clamshells for the cables to come out, and all my cables are all protected. For me, it's all about keeping everything clean, out of the way, simplistic, and also making everything very reliable. So this is a work in progress. If you're out looking for a new boat, or if you have a used boat and you're wondering how you should set it up, again, I hope you got some great information, great ideas out of this video. I'd like to thank you again for watching. God bless you. Catch you on the next one.